Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is 555. Hello, and welcome to yet another cast request from the Dota 2 cast subreddit. And today's game comes from a Mr. Tangu, I believe his name is. Although, that's clearly not his Dota 2 name, because I don't see one on any of these scenes. But anyway, getting right into it, it is an all-pick game, so no real analysis of picks and bans. We did have quite a few re-picks, though. It looks like now people are actually starting to settle in. We've got the Clockwork, we got the Tinker, and we have that Juggernaut over on the Radiant side. Meanwhile, AM and Sniper. Now, AM, of course, he's generally running the 4 Protect 1 kind of lineup because he farms exuberantly fast. But at the same time, he doesn't have much, if any, power at all in that early game. And so you really need to make sure that he's getting the farm he needs. Once he starts to get that Battle Fury, then he explodes. But it actually does look like the Radiant side, I'm not sure if they've done this on purpose or not, but they have got a team quite suited to shutting AM down. You've got the Juggernaut. Seems to be, there we go. You got Juggernaut who can of course come in with his ulti. You have a lot of pure damage in terms of both the Bane and the Tinker, which ignores anti-mage's magic armor. And he's pretty squishy outside of that early on, so they may try and pressure him as much as possible in that early game. The other hero on the dire side is that Sniper, also a carry, which is a bit of a problem because he's not the best at carries by any stretch of the imagination, especially not when you've got the gap closer that Clockwork offers, or you've got the raw nuking power that Tinker has, or indeed the lockdown that a Bane gives you. And all that means is that Sniper, as a squishy hero, will quite likely get picked off very easily, and even more so with that Timbersaw. Again, another pick that I like. He's a very powerful hero. I'd be interested to see if he goes mid. Probably not. I assume that is what Tinker is wanting to do. Looks like Timber, what are you doing? I'm not sure. He's going bot instead. It's a little bit odd, because it does mean it's just going to be a tri-lane. These lanes are a little bit odd, I must say. But anyway, now we've got picks on both sides. I'll just run over both teams. So Infinitus is going to be playing that mid lane Tinker. Hinboon playing the Timbersaw in that safe lane for some reason. Yokul playing the Juggernaut. Looks like he's heading top. And he'll be supported there by a Mr. Korean characters playing the Clockwork. And finally, Bane being played by Robvius is going to be in that bot lane supporting Timbersaw, I believe. Meanwhile, another bunch of Korean characters going to be playing the Earthshaker in the off lane. Nightstalker, played by Korean characters, running mid. Star Empire going to go top, and he will be supporting the Sniper, missing 2002 from the Gallo on the anti-mage in that off lane, which is another issue with picking 2 carries. It means that one of your carries, and especially a hero like anti-mage, is not really something you want to do. You put him in that off lane, it means that he doesn't get anywhere near as much farm, it means you don't have as much control of the lane, because we haven't got any wards to block that camp, which means that Bane should be able to stack and pull to his heart's content. Those lanes, it sort of depends here if Clockwork can get that good cogs off, because a cogs will mean that either the Lion or Sniper is dead. They just don't have the HP to stand up to Blade Fury wailing away on them. But, of course, the issue is Clockwork actually getting the cogs in. Without a setup, it does mean that, yeah, he's basically relying on one of them overextending massively and trying to fight him. In this mid lane, I think Nightstalker should have the harder time of things, Tinker being the range hero, he has more burst. But once Nightstalker hits that 6, once it hits nighttime, he will be able to dive on Infinitus quite easily, thanks to the 5-second silence. Tinker, quite a squishy hero, but for the time being, as you can already see, he's really controlling that lane. In the last hits, Nightstalker is actually ahead, but it doesn't feel like Infinitus kind of having to back off. No, sorry, Nightstalker having to back off as Infinitus takes him on. Meanwhile, bot lane looks like we had some kind of engagement going on there. With anti-mage in this lane, I don't really see, even though Earthshaker has a very powerful setup with that Fisher, with an anti-mage there's not much an anti-mage can do really to follow up until he starts to get some items into him, which is another problem with picking the 2 or 3 carries on a team. It means that in the short term, you don't really have a lot of power. You can't pressure the lanes overly effectively. We can already see Bane just having a field day in terms of harassment. But what may work out, Night Stalker is one of the heroes where he's always a bit of a gamble, because you pick him, if you will generally lose the mid lane, simply by virtue of the fact that you're a melee hero who doesn't have a very spammable nuke, although Infinite is now taking some damage from that double damage. Should be okay for the time being, though. But generally, a Night Stalker doesn't control the lane that well. As I said, that he is sitting at 7, which does bode very well for him, because coming into that first night, that's when Night Stalker really proves his worth. He's an incredibly powerful hero during that first night. However, if that first night goes badly, if he has already died mid, or indeed if one or two of the ganks fail, then suddenly he doesn't get the levels he needs, and because he's a very, very snowball reliant hero, and if you can't make him pay for himself in that first night, he'll start to fall off, and then at that point, you start to wish you had another mid, somebody who can scale a little bit, something like a Quap, for example, with the cogs coming out and not really catching anything. I believe Lion has been using that mana drain, indeed. Always a painful thing when you're going up, when you are going up against Lion, and you're a hero like Clock, you're a hero like Juggernaut, somebody who doesn't have a lot of mana to speak of, but also quite needs that mana. I do like the mana drain. However, I'm not sure if he's going to be maxing it or not, because the problem with maxing mana, and one point that I think is almost a necessity for being able to pressure the lane, but putting more than 2 points in it, then you start to sort of feel, in that lane you have a lot of control, but the problem is when you come into those mid-game fights, you don't have the longer duration stuns, and then you don't have the damage coming out from Impale. All of which means that you simply aren't as threatening unless there is a big hero. Potentially if Timbersaw gets all his mana drained, it might pay off, but Timbersaw is going to be jumping around constantly. He probably won't be able to get pinned down long enough for the mana drain to stay on him. Now playing aggressively on the Earthshaker, going in, out comes the chain, and he should drop to a right click. Nice Fissure is actually going to lock him down, but a right click, I did think that the Fissure was going to stop him, but now Anti-Mage playing on the offense, not able to finish off the Timbersaw though. Korean characters says something in Korean, I'm not entirely sure what. But, it was a good Fissure, and I did actually think it would have saved him, but he should have kept running, I feel, instead of trying to go back in. It would have forced the Timbersaw to either keep moving in, which would have led to his death, or back off. And indeed, Anti-Mage may have been able to hound him down anyway. Nice looking now, Snitty at 16 in the lead, which again, I find this quite surprising, because typically the Tinker, well, typically any range hero is able to out-pressure the mid hero. At the same time, over at top, it looks like Sniper and Lion really have control of this lane. Both of the Radiant heroes forced back behind the tower, only really able to leech XP at this point. Lion, I don't believe, has not been stacking and pulling, which does mean that the tower, that the creep waves are clashing a little too close to the tower for my liking, because it means that, as is, you can't really punish the Yoki or Korean characters particularly effectively, because I can just back off into that tower almost instantaneously, whereas if you had that stack and pulling, creep lane would be creep waves would be clashing about here, and suddenly you've got two heroes that basically can't afford to overextend heavily at all. We are now 5 seconds away from the first night as well, so bringing that creep wave up would have allowed Night Stalker to come in and gank. He hasn't actually able to take a level in Crippling Fear, which I really don't agree with, because especially against the Tinker, being able to throw out that fear means that he can go for the kill straight away. We'll probably see him turn. He didn't go for the laser though, so he might just drop anyway. Going for the laser would have been by far the more opportune thing. Infinite should just go down, and indeed, there we go. Now Night Stalker does have 4 bottles, so he'll probably use those charges, roam for the invisibility rune top, and then he should be able to rotate top and kill either Yoki, or he might want to go bot. I would say top is probably preferential, although it looks like he's got his eye on bot. Indeed, he's heading there now. Earthshaker now on the run. He has used Fissure. Out comes the Nightmare, and this is a very... Timber Chain comes out, but misses, but a Whirling Death is enough to finish the job anyway. But now in comes the Night Stalker, invisible. Himboon could be in a lot of trouble here. Do we have fear? We don't, so he can chain a Wayne if he needs to. We might see him go for the Bane instead then. Just kind of running around, not entirely sure what's going on. Now we do have the arcane pickup on Timbersaw, which will mean that he will have plenty of mana, because the one thing that they may have had a chance of was getting rid of all of his mana. And here comes the stun from Earthshaker. There we go. Himboon taking a lot of damage. Still has mana to chain away though. Anti-Mage taking a lot of damage from that Brain Sap. And now Nightstalker. Nightmare not able to finish well. Again, I would prefer the Nightmare, because A would have meant that Himboon could not run away, and B would have meant, or it would have meant that the Nightmare couldn't come out from Bane. Now, it looks like he wants to dive that tower, but we don't have the creeps there. It will be quite some time. Anti-Mage, meanwhile, forced to go back. Yeah, I do think Nightstalker, with 1 point in Crippling Fear, it suddenly means that you've got a lot of heroes on the enemy team, on the Radiant team, who are very reliant on spells. He's still just going to go in on the Tinker. Tinker does have laser, and he's not... There we go. And out comes the rockets as well. We have a second off of the Void. It's about to come out, and that's going to drop Tinker. We do now have the Fear leveled on Nightstalker. But he won't be able to roam until he gets that next bottle. We do have a Haste Room bot, so if he goes for that, he should be fine and dandy. Room and Chop though. He's going to run into the Juggernaut. Does Juggernaut have mana for his ulti? No, he doesn't even have the levels for his ulti. And now Nightstalker is going to play on the offensive. He doesn't have mana for Fear, not that it's particularly needed. Out comes the Healing Ward, and Nightstalker takes down almost instantaneously. And Timbersaw meanwhile picking up yet another kill on that Earthshaker bot. She can now sitting at 3 deaths. Certainly not a happy chappy. And Earthshaker, compared to a lot of other sports, he's actually quite farm dependent, because he really relies on that Blink Dagger for that massive BAM, jump in and ulti. If he gets it off, massive amount of power, but at the same time, he's very position reliant. He does need his boots, which he doesn't actually have, to be able to get those good fishes off. Indeed, he needs the Blink, generally, to really have much of an impact, compared to, well, I'd say a hero like Rubik, even a hero like Bane, just not as farm dependent. Tinker meanwhile taking yet another Void and Silence from Nightstalker. Nightstalker just wailing away. He has 3 seconds left on Void, and when it comes off, down goes that Tinker. Now Tinker, in comes the clock, in comes the hook from Clock, but not able to connect. Just have a blink coming in from Anti-Mage. Goes for the ulti, not going to be able to do too much to the... Taking a lot of damage from the Brain Sap. Going to blink away the Clock's rocket, waking him up from the Nightmare a little too early, perhaps. We do have the ulti used from Bane. That must have been bot. I do apologise for missing that on the Earthshaker. No, so he was not able to lock down. Meanwhile, Lion going to run straight into a Juggernaut who still doesn't have his ulti, so Lion can potentially turn around. He'll probably go for the Sheep. Indeed, there we go. Out comes the stun and the Sheep. The Star Empire is forced to run away. Timbersaw meanwhile picking up yet another kill on that poor Earthshaker. And this is the point where Timbersaw starts to feel really unfair, because he can just jump in and insta-kill you. Before you can even react, really. The Chain, the Whirling Death, and the ulti will pick most supports off. Indeed, quite a few carries off. I think if he were to jump on an Anti-Mage would go down, really, before he could react. And so at this point, I think Timbersaw may be thinking about roaming. Anti-Mage is still a bit of a threat. But it looks like, meanwhile, mid lane, we do have the ulti coming out on Nightstalker, and he is going to drop in that duration. Indeed, there we go. And that is the first death for Nightstalker. Also fairly important, because he's really the only hero at the moment really creating space for his team. Anti-Mage isn't farming all that well, only sitting at 24 last hits. Just jump over to net worth, sitting at about 2,000 net worth. Earthshaker dying quite a bit. Sniper's not doing too badly in terms of last hits either, but at the same time, the game, especially with that Timbersaw, I think could swing back quite hard without that Nightstalker there to hold him in check. Tinker meanwhile, thanks to those deaths, is absolutely nowhere near his boots of travel though. We have a TP coming in from the Nightstalker, going to jump straight onto that poor Tinker. Silence comes out, out comes the Void, Nightstalker just going in for all that he's worth, wailing away. Out comes the Chain, out comes the ulti from Anti-Mage. And Sniper ulti flies in as well. Not really needed though. And now we do have the Clockwork on the run. He has popped the cog, so he's not going to be able to do too much if a Void comes out on top of him. He does have Battery Assault. Still running. Out comes the Void. Again, Battery Assault, but he's silenced now. TP coming in from Timbersaw. And Nightstalker wisely deciding to back off as Timbersaw goes on the offensive. Looking like he wants to jump in. No real trees in that area, though, for him to really jump to. And Timisaur's still thinking about it. He's roaming, he's moving in quite aggressively. We do now have 3. The entire Dire team, he gets stunned by Star Empire. Star Empire taking half of his health in damage from those rockets. And now we have the Bane caught out. Out comes the Fisher, and he is dead. He does have invisibility rune, though, and this should be enough to let him get away in the nick of time, it would appear. But now, in that mid lane, we do have Timisaur jumping in on 2, and him and the Clockwork are enough to finish off the Lion and Earthshaker. Now we have the ulti coming in from Timisaur, playing very aggressively. He should be able to jump in on, indeed, there goes the chain. And does he have mana for Whirling Death? He does not. Bane looking like he wants to get in for a final brain sap. Won't be enough to finish off Night Stalker, though. Fortify pops as the Radiant start wailing away on that mid lane tower. And yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. Timisaur with now 5 kills. He's really, really starting to control this game. Even though Night Stalker has been able to pressure that Tinker not really doing all that much. The rest of... Out comes the laser, and the Nightmare should now get surrounded. We do have that spin from Juggernaut. Would have liked to see him position a little bit better before using it. Getting in front of the sniper. Not that really matters because the missiles are going to be enough to finish him off. Out comes the stun on Yoki. He doesn't have mana for anything whatsoever. It looks like Radiant now, again, wanting to group up mid. Dire doing the same. Although Anti-Mage now farming bot, and this is going to be the first tower of the match. In fact, TP coming in from the Bane, but Blink is going to be more than enough to let him get away. Bane still roaming on the attack, looking for a Nightmare perhaps. He might be able to get in range actually. No. Nick of time, a Blink is able to let him escape. Meanwhile, mid lane, we do have Starfire on the run as a spin comes out. Missile and spin deals a heck of a lot of damage to the Earthshaker. And now, but Earthshaker is able to get away. Do we have the ulti from Clock? We do not. I assume he jumped in there. But yet now, even though Night Stalker had the lead early on, Timisaur now is really just starting to make it impossible for his team, along with simply just Clockwork and his general cogs, making it impossible to push down that mid lane. At the same time, having said that, even though the mid game dominance is without a doubt going to the Radiant side, Dire still have the Anti-Mage up their sleeves. If he can get that farm that he needs, he will be able to just wail on everything. BKB means that he can basically ignore Timisaur. Bane is a bit of a threat, but you don't have any real attack damage. You don't have a big carry. Juggernaut is good, but he's not the absolute greatest. And uber late game, we are going to see that Sniper and that Anti-Mage start to come back, simply because Sniper will be able to sit off to the edge of fights, be able to move around, reposition himself, and just deal 2 more damage than the Radiant side can really handle. They've got quite a few squishy heroes. And again, BKB on Sniper will mean he can negate a massive quantity. In fact, the only hero on the Radiant side who really does anything with physical damage is the Juggernaut. Out comes the chain from Timisaur jumping in on the Earthshaker. Fisher comes out, as does the Enchant Totem. Now in jumps the Anti-Mage, throws out the ulti, but Timisaur still sitting on half mana. Doesn't lose too much from it. Now we have... Looks like Clock decided to jump in. No, he just went for the cogs, but didn't manage to catch Night Stalker, who got away easily enough thanks to a pop of his ulti. So I'll just run over the items right now, look at that progression. Tinker actually going for the Arcane Boots instead of the Boots of Travel. Now he has been delayed quite a bit thanks to those early deaths against Night Stalker, now sitting at 4. He's only got 32 gold in the bank. At the same time, he does need the Boots of Travels if he's going to have that global presence, which a Tinker needs. Especially come into that late game, as I said, Anti-Mage and Night Sniper will start to out-carry you in direct fights, but you can still blink, you can still TP around, and out comes the Timisaur ulti. And it looks like Radiant are thinking about going in. I'll just hide items for now. While we see what goes on here. Earthshaker quite far out. Out comes the Brain Sap, but no Nightmare to follow up, and he should be able to get away. Star Empire now on the run, gets caught by the ulti. Chain comes in from Timisaur. Out comes the ulti. He does have Whirling Death, although he is turned into a frog under the tower, and a Lion ulti is going to finish him off. Now the spin from Juggernaut finishes off the Earthshaker. Anti-Mage goes for the ulti on Robvius, not able to deal too much damage. And now forced to run away as Night Stalker goes on the attack. Is he going to run into this team? Indeed, he is caught inside those cogs. Out comes the laser. Going to prevent him from doing any real damage. Now trying desperately to run away. See, he might have been able to attack his way out there. I think that is a mistake that a lot of players make. Indeed, I do it as well. Where you get caught in the cogs, and instead of trying to right-click them down, you're just desperately trying to move out of them instead. Now, either way, he was probably dead, because we did have that clockwork ulti to catch him if he did run. But a little bit of a misplay there, I feel. At any rate, that was the first death of Timbersaw. And that represents both a victory. He still doesn't have that, he's not actually sure what he's going for. He's built into that cloak, perhaps looking for a pipe. But Timbersaw really needs that Bloodstone, an early, quick Bloodstone, which he doesn't look like he's getting. Sitting only about 200 gold, and he's got the point booster. Do we have anything? No, we do not. Out comes the stun from Star Empire. Chain flies out, not able to latch on anything. Now the hook comes out from Clog, catching onto the sniper, and he is cogged inside. Out comes the Void from Nightstalker, trying desperately to finish off the Clockwork. Now, another chain from Himboog, not able to do too much as the Edge Mage blinks away, actually jumps in on the Clockwork, finishes him off, and now Blink should be enough. No, the Nightmare comes out. Out comes the ulti from Timbersaw, but a Blink is actually able to get away before Timbersaw can recall. But a right click is going to drop Anti-Mage from Bane of all things. Now, I was going to say, it looked like the game was actually starting to turn to in Dire's favour. I was looking at gold. Indeed, there was a big swing back the way, but it's just come straight up after that last fight. XP all in Radiant's favour. Because Timbersaw going down, he still doesn't have that Bloodstone. And the fact they're able to finish him off under that tower means that suddenly it makes Timbersaw a little bit more worried about just wanting to dive in, which is a psychological victory. But it's also a victory in terms of gold. He represents a pretty big chunk of Radiant's gold in terms of kills and XP. And so finishing off means that suddenly you're getting more levels into your line, more levels into your anti-mage who was present in the fight, and more importantly, more gold. Looks like he's actually building into that Vlad's. I hope that I'm wrong. But Mode Mask doesn't actually stack with Mana Break. I can't actually remember how the mechanics work if you pick it up, if you pick Mode Mask up after, if it overrides the Mana Break. But either way, I'm not 100% what he's trying to build here for, because Anti-Mage is a farming hero. His big strength is how quickly, once he gets Battle Fury, how quickly he can farm through that jungle. And so, opting to go for the Vlads doesn't really offer you all that much. You've only got one real melee carry in Nightstalker, and even he's not a big carry. He's more of a semi-carry at best. But now he is roaming in on Himboog. Out comes the silence. Himboog now trying to run away as Nightstalker just wails away. And ulti from Lion is enough to finish off Timbersaw. The second death for Timbersaw, again delaying that Bloodstone. And again, the fact that that's delayed, Timbersaw is a mid-game dominant hero. If he can't get that early Bloodstone, out comes the hook from Clock, but a Shadowblade pickup on Nightstalker. No, an Invisibility Rune, I should say, enables him to get away. I think he is building for that Shadowblade with the Claymore. He's almost certainly not building for the Battle Fury. At least I hope not. But Timbersaw, again delaying that Bloodstone. It means that Bloodstone is a absolutely massive pickup for Timbersaw, because he has a lot more sustained damage than a hero like Quap. But at the same time, he needs more mana. He needs to be able to continuously spam out skills. Out comes Nightmare. Nice is actually able to dodge the stun, I believe. He now ultis in, but now caught between four heroes. Out comes the ulti from Bane. Clock is the only one there to really follow up, though. He's trying to do what he can to the Nightstalker. But now in comes the Timbersaw. Chain flies out, catches Star Empire. But now he's caught inside some trees. He should be able to get onto the Earthshaker, but he throws out the chain, and it is enough to finish him off. But now on the run as Sniper just wails away. Out comes the Nightmare on Moosing. Do we have follow-up from the Tinker? Indeed we do in the laser, and the laser alone enough to finish off that Sniper. Now, having said that about Bane actually going for the Blink, of all things. It's a build that I can agree with in part. If you can get the jump on Anti-Mage to lay that Blink, the ulti of Bane is absolutely massive in terms of the lockdown it provides. It goes through BKB, lasts for 5 seconds, and it has a pretty big range. So if you can see the Anti-Mage, catch him before he can react, suddenly you've got a Timbersaw who can follow up, you've got a Tinker, who can follow up. Now the stun coming out on Himboog, throwing out the Frog on Robius, and Timbersaw able to chain away the cogs thrown down to delay the attack. And now out comes the ulti from Sniper. but not actually able to finish him being off. He is going to go down to just a simple right click. Now Earthshaker looks like he wants to hunt down the Clockwork. Blink coming in from Bane. No ulti quite yet. The Nightmare will be able to delay him. He throws out the ulti, but he goes down anyway. Now Anti-Mage looking like he wants to go in for kill. He has indeed picked up that Vlad's. Again, a build I don't really agree with. He doesn't have a huge amount of damage, and Vlad's... It's an issue I see you see quite a bit actually. People picking out outcomes to Nightmare on Anti-Mage do have the Juggernaut to follow up, but the Blink will allow him to get away. The problem is that they don't really have a skill outside of Clock's ulti, which wasn't up, that can wake Anti-Mage up without allowing him to just get away. Bane didn't have mana for the ulti there, and indeed, if he'd gotten that off, well, Anti-Mage would have been absolutely dead. Now running into that Tinker, he does have the ulti, and we might see this fly out, but he's not even going to bother, just going to take him down with right clicks. Bane now on the offense. He does have the ulti up, but not able to get off whatever saw an animation cancelled there. But Anti-Mage, Lifesteal in general, it's an item that isn't that good to pick up too early. We see the ulti coming out from Clock, but now trying to man-fight down an Anti-Mage who does have Blink, able to get away. Out comes the Silence and the Void on the Himbu. Now the ulti from Line, and the stun should be enough to finish off indeed. Down he goes to a right click from Night Stalker. But again, Anti-Mage is a very, very farm-dependent hero. He needs as much gold as possible, and he's a hero who can do that because he can take out a creep, take out a camp, blink, take out a camp, blink, take out a camp, blink, and so on and so forth. And once he gets that Battle Fury, his gold starts to absolutely accelerate. Still sitting highest in net worth, mind you. But again, instead of that Vlad, I would prefer to see the Battle Fury allow him to really cement that gold advantage, get that BKB into him, get the Yasha, get the Manta style into him, and that'll allow him to take on the Timbersaw like he doesn't even matter, take on the Tinker, and the only hero who's really a threat will then be the Juggernaut. Juggernaut now roaming in, he does have his ulti up, going to spin in on the Earthshaker. Nightmare comes out, actually just doesn't do much aside from delayed damage. Now ulti on the Earthshaker. And 2 ultis used to take out an Earthshaker, something I don't really agree with, I must say. But now we have Lion roaming in, goes for the stun, catches 2, but now in a lot of trouble as he takes damage from both Laser and Missile. Night Stalker trying to take on 4 heroes at once, and that leads to his early demise. Lion getting away with a smidgen of HP, although we do have Bane roaming in now, and a right click, not quite enough to finish him. Blink still on cooldown, Stun comes out on Robius, but the right click kills him anyway.
I guess I proved to have the stronger grip.
And double damage now, but Anti-Mage, meanwhile, still farming away, going for the Javelin, I assume, into that Basher. So it looks like he's just decided to forgo the battlefield altogether. He's decided that he's not going to be able to get that free farm that he wants. And so instead, he's going to be able to start building into items and just let him take these fights. He still does have that, he might just build that later into a Crystallis, though. We do have now the ulti coming out on Yoki, not quite enough to finish him, as in jumps the Bane. Ulti coming out from Earthshaker, not dealing too much damage at all. But now Himbug on the run. We don't have the ulti from Sniper though, used earlier on the Juggernaut.
Double down on
so Radiant still they're not able to take that high ground yet. And indeed, they still need some farm on their heroes, because Timbersaw, like I said, he is a pretty big chunk of what Radiant has as a, in terms of damage. But he's pretty useless when it comes to taking high ground. You've got one tree that you can really jump to, and even that's at a pretty poor angle. Compare that to fights in the jungle. Star Ramper now on the run, gets the frog off on Infinite, but an ulti now coming out from the Bane will be enough to lock him down. Natsuka now roaming in. It's not nighttime though, so it's more of a waddle. Earthshaker now looking like wants to go for a kill, going for the bracer instead of the blink. So again, I think the team's kind of decided, you know, we're not going to get these big items that we really want, so we're going to just try and take some cheaper items that will allow us to play defensively. Earthshaker though, I think we'll have to go for that blink dagger eventually, and then if we pick that up, it makes a massive difference when trying to defend your tier 3. Because taking the tier 3 almost always entails pushing with a big wave of creeps. If an Earthshaker can jump in and hit your team with that, Himbug now caught between 2 heroes. Out comes the Silence, out comes the Stun, out comes the Void, but now Clock jumping in. Himbug should be able to go in. Timbers were actually committing suicide with the Bloodstone. I think trying to stop the ulti from Sniper, which was on cooldown anyway. But now Clock. the stun is actually able to stop the enchant token coming up. Always a pain trying to fight a clock as either an Earthshaker or a Shakira. Cast animation is just too long, and Clockwork will cancel it every time. Cog's coming out, not able to do too much though. Anti-Mage has no mana though, thanks to using his ulti. He's going to go down to that Juggernaut's ulti instead. And that, it's only a second's there. But again, I think Anti-Mage is probably the biggest hero at the moment. In terms of net worth, he's sitting at 9k. Nuzlocke are now starting to fall off, I feel. And so Anti-Mage dropping there will delay his farm. It suddenly means that, well, it makes him a little bit more cautious about farming. And indeed, it allows Raiden to take him on. And now it looks like Timbersaw wants to take out a Night Stalker, but that's just an illusion. I'm sorry. I do apologize. So, I mean, Radiant, like I said, they do want to push this mid game because out comes the hook from the Clockwork. Now Starman caught by an ulti. Silence comes out from Night Stalker. Not going to do too much to a Clock because he's already cast everything he has. But now on the run. But I think at this point, the Radiant side, sorry, the Dire side does have to start to play more defensively. They need to start warding up their jungle entrances. They need to start warding up the Rosh because the Radiant side have proven that they can take these fights. Now got the Bloodstone pickup on Timbersaw, which will allow them to win most of these fights. Unless you can take them. Now we have the blinking coming from Robbie, just kind of standing there. Oddly enough, he may have been lagging, I would imagine. We don't have the ulti from Clock. Now in comes the Timbersaw. Lion about to respawn. And it looks like Radiant have some idea what's going on in this jungle. Now blink in from Robius, gets the Nightmare off on Earthshaker, and this is about to be very dead Earthshaker indeed. There he goes. Anti-Mage still farming away in that jungle. But they are going to have to defend, and they're going to have to defend more importantly without that Earthshaker. They don't have the Fissure to lay pushes, they don't have the ulti to make the Radiant team scared of pushing in with their creeps. Stun coming out from Lunge will delay. They basically need to buy time until Earthshaker comes back, because without him there, with Anti-Mage up in that top lane, does he have a TP scroll? He does. And Juggernaut meanwhile picking up that bot. But again, Radiant are in a bit, in a sort of a poor scenario in terms of picks. Not because they don't have control mid game, they have a lot of control, but now they're having trouble pushing up into that base with their heroes. They're kind of scared of the Earthshaker, as they have every right to be. Now Clock jumping in on the Night Stalker, wailing away. We do have the Bane roaming in. He does have his ulti. Out it comes on top of that Night Stalker. He's going to go down. Night Stalker going a bit too far. Again, I think Dire needs Sniper Minimum picking up the Clock though. But I do think that they should just forgo this tower, because they can't really do too much with a Timber so we can jump around in these trees. Whereas if you can take a fight, Frog coming out on the Juggernaut, actually able to get finished off by a Lion ulti, but now in comes Timbersaw picking up the Sniper almost instantaneously. But it's actually Bane who got that kill, I apologize. Now Star Empire on the run, ulti coming out from him, so I'm not able to connect. Now the missile is absolutely shredding HP. Ulti from Earthshaker does very little at all, and now the chain from himself finishes off the Earthshaker. Anti-Mage now playing on the aggressively, trying to take on Robius. Gets Nightmare. Now going in for that Tinker. Tinker trying desperately to get away. He doesn't have a TP. Ulti coming out from Timbersaw, able to finish off the Anti-Mage. And this will be the tower anyway. Yeah, I feel Dire basically have to accept that they've lost the outer towers and just focus on defending these tier 3s, stopping Radiant from getting the high ground, and eventually getting that farm, getting that BKB up on 2, if not 3, getting the BKB up on the Night Stalker as well. If you can get BKBs up on that hero, suddenly you can ignore most of what the team's throwing at you. Juggernaut, in terms of damage, still not an absolutely massive threat. He is going for that Battlefield, which will allow him to get a bit more damage during that ulti. Now Robbie is taking a lot of damage. He did Nightmare himself, but not enough. Let him get away. You have the ulti coming out from Timbersaw, just getting killed back. Now Sniper playing on the aggressive. Won't be able to do too much, I don't think. Sniper now looking for the Invis Rune. Not going to pick it up though. The Clock does have his ulti on. He might turn around and throw it onto the Sniper, but opting not to. Frog now coming out on Himbuk. Clock throws it early, not able to catch anything. Himbuk now on the run. Out comes Silence, going to stop him getting away, and he's going to drop once again. That is his 6th death, actually. But now that he's got the Bloodstone, a Timbersaw with Bloodstone suddenly has to start playing a little bit more carefully, because if he loses the starts to lose charges, as game starts to go longer and longer, as his fights start to last longer and longer, as indeed they will, as the Anti-Mage starts to bulk up, as the Sniper starts to bulk up, as the Night Stalker starts to bulk up, you can't kill people in a single combo anymore. And once you get to that point, suddenly you really need the Browner regen that Bloodstone offers. So you have to be a bit more careful about getting caught out like that. Urshiken now roaming around. He looks like he's... Is that a... It must be an Aghanim, so I assume it's not a BKB. Anti-Mage now trying to take on Roshan. With the Vlads, he might well be able to. It doesn't look like we have any vision at all, indeed. All of Radiant roaming top. We do have the hook coming out on the Sniper, but he is able to Invisible Blade away. What's it called now? Shadow Blade. My apologies. And this should be an easy rush. Interesting, because 2 minutes ago I was saying that Dire should stay in their base, because it felt like Radiant were able to absolutely pressure everything that Dire tried to move forward with. But now, Radiant, I mean, they're taking out towers, but at the same time, Dire are able to move into areas that are really effective. They're able to push down mid lane, they've been able to take out the Rosh, and now pushing bot. And so, in terms of map movement, they're doing a lot better job than Radiant at this point. Now, and it looks like this will be a T2. Do we have Fortify? We don't, it has been used. But down goes that T2 anyway. We might see a TP into defend, or it looks like we're just going to go straight for a base race. Down goes that tower top. It's going to drop. Clockwork Man with the only person who's really there to defend tier 3. And look at that damage. Dire actually dealing more, a lot more than Radiant is. We do now have a TP coming in from Bane. Blinks in. And finishes off the Anti-Mage. Robbie is now godlike. We've got the buyback from Clock. Out comes the hook. Not able to do any. Not able to actually latch. So Urshiken now on the run. Gonna drop. Yep. There we go. Did he have his ulti? He did. He could potentially have used it. Now that's like on the run. Trying desperately to get away. Ulti from Sniper actually able to finish off the Juggernaut. Now Star Empire back with Tinker meanwhile roaming mid. The Timbersaw coming in. Not a good angle for him to go for Star Empire, indeed. It can't latch to anything there. And Dire meanwhile on the run. But still, they must take down a tower. They managed to deal a massive chunk of damage to that tier 3 in return for... So they lost a hero and a T2 for a T2 and almost the entirety of a T3. And I'd say that's worth it. Because the fact that they were able to pressure that much, the fact they were able to deal that much damage... and get to the point where they're still able to get away from a fight like that comfortably, shows that Dire by no means are out of this game yet, bringing up gold. And we're seeing a bit of a drop there, still only about 1,000. And XP, meanwhile, it's still massively in Radiant's favor, but again, a bit of a drop-off after that last push. Juggernaut, meanwhile, picking up that battlefield, giving a bit more damage during that ulti. But that's about it. And again, Anti-Mage I think is just a better carry. He has now picked up that bash. We do have the sheep stick on the Baden though. So Baden doing very, very well for himself. Got the blink, got the sheep stick. And so if they can catch any hero by himself, they're dead. Because Baden will be able to jump in with the ulti, then follow up with sheep stick. You've got the rest of his team. And the hero that's most likely to happen to is the Anti-Mage. Because Anti-Mage often is going to be pushing quite a bit further in front of his team. Do have the Aegis will be reclaimed in a matter of minutes. So it looks like they're going to try and make an aggressive play. We do have both Night Stalker and the Anti-Mage grouping up top. Now the rest of Radiant roaming around that way. Looks like Anti-Mage knows something is on because they're both backing up. And Bane blinks it but not able to get in range for either the Sheep Stick or the ulti. And if you caught either one of them now, I think... Does Anti-Mage have money for buyback? He does indeed. This Night Stalker, he does. So catching one of them wouldn't be the absolute end. They wouldn't be able to buy back and then defend that T3. So at this point, both Anti-Mage and Night Stalker are sitting very pretty in terms of gold. Anti-Mage at 10k, Night Stalker... Sorry, Anti-Mage at 11k, Night Stalker at 10k. And now both teams seem to be opting to go for a more standoffish gameplay, which Radiant can't really afford to do. Dire can, because again, they get the farm into the anti-mage, get the farm into the sniper, they just get better and better. Radiant, meanwhile, not anywhere near as good. We do now have Nightstalker roaming around, perhaps going to go for that Tinker, but he does have that Bane to worry about. Timbersaw roaming around to that mid lane. Looks like he wants to catch somebody out here. He is going to find himself going up against a anti-mage. Anti-mage blink straight out of that ulti. Now Hook coming in from Clock on the Star Empire. Star Empire gets the stun off. Now anti-mage playing aggressively on Robvius. He has used the... he managed to Nightmare himself, get it by himself a little more time. Goes down anyway. And Sniper now finishing off the Clockwork while Clockwork picks off with the Earthshaker and the Lion. Sniper now on the run, still 2 seconds away from Shadowblade. Chain comes out, not able to deal any damage. Anti-Mage meanwhile picking up 2 more kills. And Sniper should be able to go out too much difficulty. Now Nightstalker, he does have the silence, he does fly out. Anti-Mage now playing on the offense against Himboong. Himboong desperately trying to get away. He does have ability to suicide himself if he wants to do that. Gets bashed. He does have chain, but yeah, now but now he has no mana for anything else. Urn is on him as well, and the ulti from Sniper doesn't actually manage to fly out as Timbersaw commits suicide. Korean characters, says Korean characters. I assume this is on the Southeast Asian servers just by the number of people with Korean characters in their name. But there we are. So an absolutely phenomenal fight for the for the Dire side. Anti-Mage just wailing me on everything. He's now starting to come out showing his worth. Now going for the Battle Fury actually, which I'm not sure they agree, because at this point you're taking team fights, and Battle Fury is a farming item more than a team fight item, unless you've got say a Magnus or a Darkseer in your team, somebody who you're guaranteed to get that splash off against. But outside of that, and the other items we're getting are much more team fight oriented items. Now smoke coming out from Timbersaw. I think a last resort smoke. They know that they have to get a pick off on the anti-mage. In fact, multiple pick offs, because he does still have cash for a buyback if it's needed. But I think now the Radiant side is starting to feel their lack of late game. You're starting to feel the power of an anti-mage once he starts to get farmed. And the Nightstalker and Sniper as well. Sniper picking up a few kills for himself. Neither side going for the BKB yet though, which I find a little bit odd, because a BKB allowed, especially with the Nightstalker who was really frontline, Anti-Mage is sort of skimming around the edges, coming in to pick heroes off once they've thrown out a big chunk of what they're using. We do now have the smoke coming out, neither Robvius nor Clocker inside it, but now the ulti coming out from Juggernaut, landing on creeps and not much health as Lion gets away with pretty much full HP. Clock throws in the ulti, and it looks like we have the ulti up on Gallo, so he's going to have to wait his turn. But now jumping in, he's actually going to try and back away as fast as he can. Do now have the Battle Fury coming out on him. Earthshaker desperately trying to get away. He does have the enchant totem. He might be able to go for the ulti here, actually. Going to run away as the spin picks off him, and it's actually going to be the Tinker Missiles that finish him off. And now Dire are going to have to back off, I feel, because they've just lost both supports, and they're going to have to try and take this high ground. But now Anti-Mage looks like he's going to go for... Like I said, he wasn't farming all that... He decided that during that maybe 10 minutes ago he wasn't farming all that well, but now that he's got the advantage, I think he's going for the Battle Fury, going to keep trying to get farm. However, mid lane we have the Radiant moving in on that tier 3. Not much Nightstalker can do by himself. And Sniper trying to wail away, turned into a sheep. Out comes the laser, out comes the brain cell. Is able to invisible away though. Now Anti-Mage just decided to screw it and push bot. He knows that he can't take a fight head on when 2 of his teammates are down, so he's going to try and just disrupt the push by taking down the T3. But down goes the T3 mid. Juggernaut getting away with a smidgen of HP as Nightstalker gets thrown up in the air. Out comes the Fisher. We do have the ulti on ES. It's not going to be used though. Out comes Shishan and misses. Now Anti-Mage not actually able to finish off the tier 3. He has blinked in. He's been turned into a sheep, but out he comes now. And Radiant on the run. Himboong now caught out with the Fisher. Earthshaker is going to opt to back off though. Just had an ulti coming out from AM. He was going for the Juggernaut. He was still had most of his mana left though. He goes down to a right click anyway. Now Himboom on the run, bashed. He does have Chain, able to get away, but now caught in between a rock and a hard place. In jumps that Anti-Mage. We don't have the suicide from Timbersaw, able to shade away. Nice play by him, and he might be able to, he doesn't have TP though, and it looks like Anti-Mage knows where he is. He's following suit, and we do have mana for a chain, but he's got no real area that he can jump to, which won't lead to him dying. And I think that was a very pleased Earthshaker. So we had the T3 going down there, but at the same time, Dire were more than able to defend their racks. And I don't feel that with those tree downs, with these trees down especially, I don't feel that Dire will be able to muster anything like that kind of aggression again, unless they're able to pick off the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage shouldn't get 3k though, so that's definitely not a possibility. And Roshan about to respawn, about a minute left it looks like. But now Anti-Mage taking quite a bit of damage. I didn't miss that. On the run. Just looking at gold, massive swing back in Dire's favor. Coming up a little bit after that last fight, I think, owing to that T3 dropping. And XP for the first time in the game going in Dire's favor. Again, that late game advantage that this Dire team has means that now that they've started to get some momentum behind them, now that Anti-Mage is becoming a massive threat. Nobody on the Radiant team can really stand and fight. Even the Juggernaut having to run away from him, Himboom having to run away from him. Bane can lock him down, but alone even he can't do all that much. It just means that Anti-Mage is going to keep getting stronger and stronger, and the Sniper, in the meantime, as I said, not the best character. When you've got a big bulky hero like the Anti-Mage, he can just, Sniper can just stand at the edge of fights, pick off at every other hero in there. Especially when you've got a squishy hero like Tinker, and a relatively squishy hero like Bane. Looks like Radiant now looking for an aggressive push. They know that they have to finish this fast, or else Anti-Mage is just going to continue to get farmed up, start to wail all over him. He has now picked up that Abyssal ulti coming out from line, taking it half of the HP off of that Tinker. This is where I was starting to say that Boots of Travel would come in handy, because Anti-Mage is now a hero that you can't take direct fights against. So instead, Tinker, I think, would be better off going for that Boots of Travel. He does have the gold for it, starting to TP around the map, start to push in the towers, mean that they're all pressed up against the Dire's side, and then start to just chip away at those towers without ever having to really commit to a direct fight. We do have Rosh up once again. Anti-Mage already taking a quarter HP off it, but opting to go for the agents first, it would appear. He's actually opted to sell the Vlads instead, so I'm not 100% sure why he picked up to begin with, if he knew that he was going to sell it. He may have decided that he needed the gold for Abyssal more, which I can kind of agree with. Because that lockdown, especially against Abyssal, will stop him from getting away. It will stop that Tinker from getting his laser off. And a good laser on AM will take quite a bit of his damage out of the fight. Gallo now taking a lot of damage from Rosh, though. Does have the illusions scattered out for him. And I assume that we do have the clock jumping in. Oh, and I didn't quite catch who that was on, but now Nasuko on the run, and this might be a disaster for... We do have the Rosh going down though, so Galley should be fine. I was going to say, if he gets caught out, that would be very bad for the Dire side. And Yule's coming out, not going to do much to delay his death there. Indeed, down he goes. Dragon now, meanwhile, picking up the light. Sniper on the run with his Shadow Blade. Buyback coming out from Tinky. Does he have Booted Travels? He does not. He's going for the Shivas instead. Now we have the Silence coming out on Yogi. He does have the spin to try and get away if he wants to. Sniper starting to wail away, but again, just moving around the fight, picking things up. Ulti coming out from Earthshaker, not dealing too much damage though. Out comes the spin, he takes a lot of damage, and down he goes. But now Sniper wailing away on Juggernaut. It's still about 6 seconds away from that Shadow Blade. Chain comes out, not dealing too much damage, and he should be fine to get away. He's now running straight back to his Shrapnel. That comes the ulti, apologies, from the Timbersaw. But Sniper should be able to get away without too much difficulty. Anti-Mage now moving in, looking for 3 arrows, and he finds them. Caught Nightmare, and he might actually go down. He does have Aegis though, so it's not too big an issue. Down goes the Aegis indeed. Sniper does have his ulti to try and finish off that clock, but just kind of backing off. He knows that if he moves in there by himself, without the Anti-Mage to bulk, to take most of the damage, he will die. Ulti now coming out from Sniper, and down goes that Clockwork. Anti-Mage now Nightmare. Do we have the ulti on Bane? We do not. Hit 2 seconds away from Sheep. Anti-Mage able to blink away as the ulti wakes him up. Now ulti coming out from the line, able to finish off the Timbersaw, but in return, Tinker finishes off Sniper. Now Anti-Mage wailing away on Robius, turned into a Sheep. And the blink from Robius should allow him to get away. Indeed, Anti-Mage assumed he went into the pit. But now Anti-Mage looking for a kill on the Tinker. He has already used his ulti, and Tinker should be able to get away with the help of that use. We do have a Clockwork there throwing down the cogs. And I think Anti-Mage might be looking for... Now he's just going back to farming. Now picking up the Mask of Madness. Again, it doesn't stack with his normal orb. It does give him a lot more damage, but at the same time, he's still prone to being locked down. He still only has 1600... he still only has 1600 HP, so, which means that up until this point he's been able to take these fights, but if he gets caught out in a bad Mask of Madness, he doesn't have the gold to buy it back anymore, and suddenly he's in a lot of trouble, and especially with that Bane, it means that he can't afford to be sacrificing his HP, I feel. So I can't say that I agree with the Mask of Madness, because again, the lifesteal doesn't give you anything at all because of mana break. It is the most cost efficient item in the game in terms of DPS increase. Now Anti-Mage may be caught out here. We do have the blink on Bane, and the hook comes out from Anti-Mage. He should be able to jump away. Indeed he does, but now running into Rovier, sheeped up, and here comes the ulti, but a badly timed Yules is going to allow him to get away. I think Rovius will be screaming at the Tinker right now. But if he had been caught there, that would have been the game for the Radiant, I feel, because without Anti-Mage, there's just no way they could have mastered the defense of these racks. And once those first racks were down, I think they would have had plenty of time. Anti-Mage now level 25. And so, without buyback, if he goes down, his team just cannot master defense. Line picking up Tinker to be able to get the sheep up on Rovius. Clock now jumping in on Star Empire though. Star Empire throws out the stun, but should be able to go down to just right clicks and battery assault. Indeed, there he goes. We do have Anti-Mage still up. Will be about to jump in on Rovius. Rovius does not have his ulti, does not have Sheepstick either. There comes the Anti-Mage looking for a kill. Gets Nightmare, gets pushed back by Cogs, but then woken up almost instantaneously by Clockwork. Nightstalker meanwhile picking up the Timbersaw. Now Jug caught between three heroes, trying desperately to take on Moosing the Sniper, but goes down anyway. Anti-Mage now looking for yet another kill. Juggernaut buying back. And Bane did manage to get away as well. But now we have all the lanes bar mid pushed in. And Anti-Mage should be able to take down... Indeed, there he picks up Clockwork. And with him down, I think they will be able to take at least one T3. So about 30 seconds left on the Timbersaw. And Bane has used his ulti. He's about 5 seconds off now, actually. All of Dire looking like they want to group up mid. And Bane, again, if he can catch Anti-Mage out, they do have a chance of killing off. You do not have cash for the buyback, though. So it won't be as big a deal. But it will still disrupt this push. It looks like Nightstalker now jumping in on Yoki. Anti-Mage wailing away, opting to back off. Rovius now stunned. Out comes the ulti from Anti-Mage. Sheepstick comes out, catches Nightstalker. And now Rovius desperately trying to go away. Void going to be enough to finish him off. But now we have the ulti from Earthshaker. It comes out, doesn't deal too much. And he's going to go down. Earthshaker does go down. And Nightstalker and Anti-Mage, I think, both forced to run back now. We do have the buyback from Bane, I think, looking for a pick off Anti-Mage. Again, he knows the power of his ulti. He knows that with the blink, he can catch an Anti-Mage. We are going to see the ulti coming out on the Nightstalker right now. He's going to buy back, though. So, I'll just jump over to buyback status. It's up on both Anti-Mage and Sniper, but down on absolutely everybody else. But Anti-Mage and Sniper are the two big damage dealers at this point. Anti-Mage more so. And so the fact that he has buyback is now sitting at 3,600, but he does need to save that. Because if you get into a fight, if he buys back, he can then just wail over everything that Radiant throws at him. He is still, again, just a little bit prone to being caught out, thanks to that Mask of Madness. And so he can potentially drop to that But during this defense, because it will be a defense, I think, where Radiant... yeah, Radiant now looking like they want to push that mid lane. My apologies. Anti-Mage doesn't have TP though. He has picked up the Reaver. Now, I think he might actually be able to race to get back. Radiant don't know where he is, so they don't know there's an advantage to exploit. Again, they are all grouping up, I think, waiting for that Juggernaut, because they know Juggernaut's sort of their biggest chance of taking on the Anti-Mage. In terms of sustainability, ulti coming out. We got the smoke now used, but Bane pops it almost immediately. Does he have the ulti? He does not. Still 5 seconds away. Earthshaker trying to get away. A stun flies out on him. Now, Nightstalker turned into a sheep. Ulti coming out from a sniper. Now, in jumps the Clockwork. He does have cogs, not able to catch anybody. Ulti coming out from Bane, going to lock down the Nightstalker, but then the Fisher is going to cancel that anyway. Ulti coming out from Earthshaker, and Timbersaw is going to drop, but Anti-Mage wasn't even present in that fight. Now he jumps in looking for Yoki. But down goes Nightstalker, trying desperately to finish off the team, but not quite enough as Bane kills him. So, 1 for 1. But Anti-Mage, again, not even there. That fight felt like it went in Dire's favour, and they didn't even have their biggest hero there. Let's swap back over to net worth. Anti-Mage is now sitting at 20k, which is more than... Basically, he's got double what the Juggernaut is sitting at. And Juggernaut is their biggest source of sustained damage. Timbersaw, not a bad hero in and of himself, but again, late game, he starts to fall off. He just can't man-fight an Anti-Mage. And then Anti-Mage, it looks like going for that heart. Once he gets that, he would just have too much bulk for Timbersaw to really deal with. Clockwork now running straight into him. He's going to cogs himself in, but he does have the clock, and he gets it off, finishing off the Anti-Mage. Now, we do have the Sheep Stick on Rovius, but he should be able to get away as the Juggernaut scares them both. Do we have buyback on Anti-Mage? We don't. He picked up that Reaver, he finished off the Crystallis, and with him down, this game might be over. Rovius trying to get away. We do have, he gets the the Ghost Scepter off. Now on the run from Sniper. He's going to go down to a single right click. Nightstalker down. 70 seconds on Anti-Mage. Radiant need to push this advantage right now. Because I don't think they're going to get another chance like this. With buybacks down, Rosh is almost up as well. And once Anti-Mage should be able to get his hands on that. If they don't take down at least the Rax, then Anti-Mage will come back and be as unkillable as ever. It looks like they know what they're all pushing up. They know that the creep's going on, something's going on, but they may just have to accept that though and finish off the Rax, TPing in to defend their own Rax instead. But now Musing taking a lot of damage from Clockwork and Timbersaw. Timbersaw and Clock trying to take down the... No, they're just going for the creeps instead. And now here, down go the Rax. We do have the Blink coming up on Earthshaker. We do have lots of creeps. If he jumps in, that will absolutely cripple it. It looks like he's thinking about it. 15 seconds on Anti-Mage. Down goes one Rax. And the, meanwhile, the Radiant Rax are going to live. Now, down goes the first of the Rax. Only one Rax, though, and Anti-Mage about 5 seconds away from respawning. Again, Blink up on Earthshaker. Looks like it wants to go with, but now Radiant opting to back off. Shiva's getting picked up on the Tinker. Now, with those Rax down, suddenly, I think, like I was talking about, Tinker can really start to pressure. Because with a single Rax down, it suddenly becomes a lot harder for your team to push out. If you can get 2 Rax down, they do have a shot of climbing back into this game. Indeed, Anti-Mage, I think now, won't ever get caught out like that again. He knows that it's an absolutely massive risk for him. And so he's going to, I think, farm out that buyback. Hopefully, we do have Rosh up as well. He'll pick that up, which means that he won't... Yeah, again, I don't think Radiant will have a chance like that again, but they were able to finish off the Rax, the first Rax of the game as well. And so with them down, suddenly creep equilibrium is going to shift into their favour. They are going back to a more defensive game now. I'm not sure if they actually know that Roshan was getting taken down, not that it really matters. Now, this is the cheese rush. Anti-Mage opting to pick up the cheese instead of the Aegis, using it almost instantaneously. And I think leaving the Aegis for Nightstalker. There we go. Bit of a wasted cheese there, I feel. And I think he should have picked up the Aegis because, again, he doesn't have cash for buyback if he dies. And so if he goes down, Abyssal coming out on him, he does have the chain to get away. He should be able to get away. Indeed, there we go. Now Blink comes out from the Anti-Mage. Himboon desperately trying to get away. We do have the ulti on Anti-Mage. No, we don't. Still 15 seconds away. And actually taking quite a bit of damage from that creep wave. Again, it feels like he's... In these one-on-one engagements, he's not as bulky. When he's trying to just man-fight heroes down, he is losing to a hero like Clock. He's losing to a hero like Timbersaw. But it's when he gets into these fights, when he's able to pick at the edges, and so I'm going to jump in after most of the skills have already come out on the Lion or on the Night Stalker. That's when he really is proving his strength, when it's just rolling over everything that Radiant have to offer. Neither team, again, really looking like they want to push up too aggressively. Anti-Mage quite low, and Radiant know it. They're looking for a kill on him, because again, they know if they can finish him off, he doesn't have the Aegis. He does have Cold for buyback, though. But if they can finish him off before the one fight, force him to buyback, he then goes into a fight without buyback. Do they have buyback on the Juggernaut? They don't. They do have smoke coming out. Again, they're looking to catch someone out. They may find the very unlucky Earthshaker. I think Robvious knows if he can catch somebody with his ulti, they're dead. But they are going to run into basically the entirety of Radiant mid. Clock jumps in on Musaji. Out comes the Timbersaw ulti, and down goes Musaji. He does have buyback. No, he doesn't have buyback, actually. And he is going to drop out. Timbersaw DCing, ulti coming out on the Night Stalker. And Night Stalker pops the ulti. Should be able to get away. We don't have any other lockdown. Sheepstick still in cooldown. Bane is silenced, but now in comes Anti-Mage. He's now on the run, though, not actually able to... He throws out the ulti, not dealing too much damage at all. Jumps away. Timbersaw still DC'd. Nightmare on on Anti-Mage. Timbersaw does have the ulti, but that alone won't be enough. He doesn't have the lockdown nor the damage to finish off an Anti-Mage before he blinks away. But that's 3 down. You've got the Night Stalker and the Anti-Mage up. Ulti still up. Ulti down on Bane. Night Stalker looks like he wants to do something. Ulti coming out from the Clock. Now Bane caught between 3. Out comes the ulti from Timbersaw, trying to finish him off. He's going to go down. Now the stun coming out from Anti-Mage, desperately trying to wail away. Aegis comes up, gets popped on Night Stalker. We have about 5 seconds until the Lion buys back. Anti-Mage now forced to run away, as is Night Stalker. They have got the Rax Bear. Looks like they're just going to go for that instead. They will be able to finish off the ranged at least. But now in comes the Lion, throws out the ulti. Not enough to finish off Robvious. Now Anti-Mage jumping in. He kills Bane in a couple of hits. Yoki now on the run. And now Timbersaw desperately trying to get away. He throws out the chain. He does not have mana for a second one. Ulti coming out from Anti-Mage. He's going to go down as a stun flies out from the Lion. And down he goes. 3 down. Tinker DC'd. Tinker reconnects now. This team probably not very happy with him. They did manage to get 1 Rax, but now they've got 3 down. No buybacks on... They do have the buyback on Timbersaw if it's needed. Do they have the buyback on Bane? No, they don't. And Radiant... Diet now looking to press that advantage. They should be able to take down at least 1 Rax. Tinker alone won't be able to do much, if anything. Looks like they're actually just going to... Anti-Mage looks like he just wants to go straight through backdoor protection. A lucky Invis rune might allow him to do just that. And then look at that damage. But is he going to be able to regen through it? No. We do have Fortify, so that will be popped. And indeed, there we go. In flies the Clock onto the Anti-Mage. And now trying to man-fight down the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage actually forced to back off. Now Timbersaw trying to run away. We do have the Abyssal, but doesn't want to head in against a Tinker. And now the Illusions wailing away against that tower. Mimo mid lane. Tower goes down. Sniper taking down that range Rax. Should be able to take down the melee without too much difficulty either. Out comes the ulti from... Actually, no, he's going to back off. Still 50 seconds on that line who did go down. But now we have the ulti up on the Shaker. More importantly, the blink up on the Shaker. Not so looking like a lot of script for kill, but he might just get caught out here. Now we have the ulti trying out on Anti-Mage. He's caught by the cork. Now the ulti from Bane. Do we have the buyback on Anti-Mage? We don't. He picked up the Helm of the Dominator. I'm still not really sure why he's so... why he loves Lifesteal so much, because it's really not that good an item on Anti-Mage. It doesn't stack with your orb. Now, Munksy caught out. He might go down as well. Indeed, he goes down to a laser. That's 3 down. We've got Anti-Mage down, no buyback. We've got Sniper down, no buyback. And we saw in that last fight that alone, Nightstalker and Anti-Mage couldn't do too much. I don't think there's anything at all that Lion and Earthshaker will be able to do by themselves. Nightstalker is back there as well. But he got his Aegis pop last fight and then was forced to play defensively for the rest of it. And it looks like Radiant knows that they're looking for a fast finish. They do know that they've got this rack spare. They might just go straight for the T4s, to be honest. In fact, they might have to. That's the only thing they can really do in this time. Now, Earthshaker on the run. He still does have his ulti. He throws out the fissure. He should be about to blink in. Not going to jump in with the ulti. That would have done a massive chunk of damage. Almost certainly finished off Robvius. Now thrown up in the air by Tinker. Now desperately trying to get away. Timbersaw ulti callback is going to finish him off. Now Nightstalker, the only person left on his team, throws out the Abyssal, and that alone is not going to do anything. And now down goes one T4. Look at that melt. Nightstalker doing all that he can to try and defend, but now Nightmare, and that he's out comes the ulti. Sorry, the hook, the rocket, I should say. But Ancient now, 5 seconds left on Anti-Mage. But he's not going to have anywhere near enough time. The Fortify has been put 1 second on Anti-Mage, but even that, look at all those crits. They will just drop, and indeed, there it goes. GG. I think that's the Korean for GG. I'm honestly not sure. But just the time that it's been used looks about right. But a very, very nicely played game from the Radiant side. As I said, I thought that Dire had that in the bag. As the game started to get longer and longer, it seemed like Anti-Mage was just getting more and more farmed. He was able to take on the team. But then he got picked off a couple of times. Radiant were able to force Dire into fights where they were able to catch out 2 or 3 heroes. And even though Anti-Mage was strong, without the rest of his team there, as we saw at that bottom T3 fight, he wasn't able to do a huge deal without the rest of his, if the rest of his team was dead. And Radiant, I think, realized that. They were able to get a couple more pickoffs, and each time force the Dire side back and eventually bring it home with the win. So, my name is 555. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.